Sad part is, I believe that. Not that you thought we were, but that's why you're here. Well, I think number one thing is the two parts of this season that I've looked at is having to play smarter. Did a little better job of that than we did the last couple games, making our free throws again. That was a big part of it that we felt like we sort of blew the Nebraska game on. But getting our identity back was the big thing. And we said we got to defend, we got to rebound, and we got to run. And holding them under 40%. They were shooting 50, getting 17 offensive rebounds, getting a lot of defensive rebounds, and getting 18 points off our fast break. I think kind of mission accomplished on that given night. It allowed us to win despite our lowest field goal percentage, I think, of the Big Ten, maybe the whole season. But it was our lowest of the year. And I guess questions should be asked, why was that? Number one, I think they're a pretty good defensive team. And number two, I just think we still missed some shots that, Aaron Harris had bunch of good shots, and some of our bigs missed some inside. I've been saying all year, college basketball is wide open. It is a different year. I had a couple of national guys ask me, why the parity? Why are so many teams getting beat? I don't think there is a dominant team like North Carolina was or like Kentucky was over the last 7-8 years. Different teams. I don't think there's one dominant team right now. I think guys leaving early has something to do with it. Guys keeping 4-year guys has something to do with it. The 5th-year transfer, I think, has a lot to do with it. We're just guys aren't happy one way, and they were a great 6-man, and then they go be a starter at a smaller school, and that maybe elevates that school and helps. I think those are some reasons. That's why for us, with 7 out of 8 teams losing last week in the top 10, we just got to keep focusing in on what we got to get done to get better as the year goes on. I think Valentine is, I heard somebody say, well, they're going to go as Valentine goes. And I said, yeah, just like we're going to go as Magic goes, and this guy, it's going to go as this guy goes. I mean, there's not a lot of places that have a lot of just go-to guys. And ours, I think you could argue, is as dominating in different areas as any. What made the difference in him last week? Well, I think, he was 3 weeks out, and I think that was about a little over 2 weeks back. That's about the right time. I do think he was 95% physically healthy and 80%, 75% conditioning-wise. He looked really tired to me as the game went on. But I knew he was physically healthier when he rebounded like he did, getting 14 boards in a game like that against the size they got, and he went up and got some. He had his nose for the ball, which means he was in the mix a little bit more, and when he does that and gets our break going, that makes us a better team. There's only 10 games left in the regular season, and I do think we're making some progress. I still think we got some guys that we got to get better. Marvin Clark would be one of them, and whatever happens with Tom, which is still kind of an unknown. As far as facing Northwestern, they kind of are like we were last week, and a little bit their backs to the wall. They had started out so good. They lost 3 in a row. Chris has done, I think, an unbelievable job with this team. Where they're struggling right now is their 2 guards that have shot 37% from the 3 last year are shooting 19 and 20%. And you just aren't going to win games. When Brent Forbes goes 3 for 16 or whatever he went in those couple of games, we're not going to win games. As many games, you're going to have to do it different ways. And they ran into a tough situation where they're just not shooting the ball as well. But I think we're going to get a hungry, angry team, and a good way for them to get back in the human race. Hopefully that we can keep our hands on McIntosh and Demps, because it is a very good backcourt that has experience and just has not shot the ball well as of late. I think the other thing is that people have a hard time understanding, but when you do get a guy back, I don't care if it's us with Valentine, if Ola comes back for them, if you remember last year when a guy comes back, you struggle. Well, Ola came back, he scored 19 in Indiana, and they struggled. But he did get 19, and it was 9 for 12 from the field. He played really well. And so now getting him back and getting a couple games under his belt, I think is going to make a difference for them. It can take some heat off those guards. They have a place to throw it into. They have pretty good experience at the other positions. And so that part's a concern for me. It's a concern, are we going to play with the same emotion? Because the game the other night, I think the focus was there. I thought the crowd was there. And we just played better. I don't know how he felt Maryland played. I did not think we'd do the job on the bigs that they did, and I wasn't even unhappy with Melo getting 24 points. I thought he had to earn his points compared to last year where we gave him some points. So we're making some progress, not nearly where we need to be, but making some progress. Questions?
Tom, you just touched on it briefly at the end there. For when the guys get back into practice after such an impassioned win like that, talking to them in the locker room, how do you and them kind of keep things motivated going into a stretch against Northwestern and Rutgers now that they kind of have the taste of winning back after that rough stretch?
Well, the good news is my three seniors really played well. Costello might have had his best game on a leg and a half, and Valentine and Forbes all played pretty well. Forbes played pretty well defensively too, and your seniors are the ones you need in cases like that. Freshmen and sophomores will get up and down, and seniors are going to know that Northwestern is a good team. They're going to know. I think that Denzel didn't early in his career. I don't know if we lost to him or should have lost to him, but. That's what I'm relying on. I'm relying on them, and I'm relying on us wanting to get better ourselves. What do we want to do to get better? Example would be we were shooting the ball so well from the three. We shot it pretty well the other night, but I think we got to get more threes. Our running game was so good early, and then when Tom went out, and I think Denzel had a better feel this time. He wasn't running down the court as a two guard. He was getting the outlet more. I think we got away from our rebounding a little bit, and I think part of that was losing the 9 that Denzel got. And yet Costello did a better job, and we're starting to get a little bit more of a rotation. And so I'm going to just keep reminding them that we're a long way from where we need to be to do some damage later on in the season, and we just got to keep growing and getting better. And hopefully keep growing will mean you keep winning, but there's going to be – that might be losing and keep growing because you just look at what's going on around the country, and it's a lot of people, losing games. I don't know who will be number one today, probably Carolina, and I watched them. They could have, should have got beat last night. So I think everybody's in the same boat.
Tom, I think you mentioned last week sitting here that it was a critical week for you guys coming up. Now you look ahead to this week and you feel
critical
like
week.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Is it almost that point where you're in conference play in the middle of the season and every week is that?
Well, and we let a game or two get away from us. But every game is going to be a critical game because you're not only in the middle of the Big Ten season, but you're getting down to the last half of the season and into tournament play. So it's about getting better right now. And so critical can mean a lot of different things, but I'd like to look at it more as we need to be improving every game now. We can't have 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or in one case, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We can have baby steps forward, but hopefully you're moving forward each and every game now in some way, shape, or form.
Now, with Aaron's defense, is it more encouraging to see him do that when he's 1 for 8 and still be able to be?
That was the most encouraging thing of the night. Usually him and Bryn let their offense dictate their defense. And I didn't mind one shot he took. Although in the Nebraska game, I thought Bryn took 8 great shots. And, it's going to happen. That's the one problem by living by the 3, dying by the 3. And more teams are doing it now. More teams are doing it. But when he guarded like he did, and the things that we needed to get done, and stuck kind of to the game plan of what we wanted to do, I think the 2 areas of most improvement from Bryn and Aaron were there on defense, what they did, But on offense, running those lanes, we just haven't been able to get guys out the first two steps, like Shannon Brown or an Ager or, guys like that just used to fly down that thing. And, boy, looking at the film, we were in a lot better shape this game as far as getting there. And so I thought they both improved on both ends in things that we needed them to get better at.
Following up on that, Tom, you talked before the game about the scouting report stuff and just some of the little things. I know last year your defense got dramatically better by the end in terms of just the gaps. Is there a usual trajectory with that each year? Like at this point we want to be here, at this point we want to be here, and if so, or if not, where is this team overall on that? Was that one night of great energy, or can you keep duplicating it?
Well, I thought early in the year, we were ranked 1, 2, or 3 in our defensive field goal percentage and 1, 2, or 3 in our rebounding, and I didn't think we were great at either one. There's some of it that to me was a little bit of fool's gold. Why, I don't know. Maybe it was give my assistants credit. It was, a very good job on scouting, and we cheated the system kind of to make up for what we thought were some deficiencies, either what guys we had lost or guys that weren't as comfortable. What I think is we are starting to at least keep a same group in there a little bit. Now, losing Tom at the point, again, people will argue all the time with me, but we're better offensively in some areas, but we are not better defensively with him out of there. And because he was kind of the rock when he was really healthy. The last 2 weeks, it was getting worse even on that end of the court for him. So I think we just got to keep on and realize that we're trying to sell to our guys, if you defend and rebound, then you get the run. It's a lot easier to run off a rebound than off a made shot. And that's the way we've tried to sell it. But I think we definitely can keep it up. It is the one constant. 3-point shooting is not the constant. It's being able to defend and rebound. That is the constant. And to do it against a team as big as them, I think was a little bit of a shot in the arm. Was there more adrenaline? I mean, of course, it was a big game and it was a big home game. But I don't know. I looked at them in the other way, and I thought they struggled in a couple areas that surprised me. So might have been bad game for them, like we've had a couple this year, and like everybody else seems to have a couple this year. So I don't know. I know this. You got to have staples in what you do to be successful. It's been a 20-year staple, and I think if you try to, as Mateen says, cheat the bloodlines, then you run into trouble. And maybe our guys are starting to buy in. And Denzel's a pretty good defender. If you watched what he did in that game, a little bit like a Draymond, he position-wise is a good defender. He understands jumping to the ball. He got a big steal late just because he was in the right spot. He's a pretty good on-the-ball defender, but a very good off-the-ball defender. So, it was definitely the best he felt and the best he played since he came back. And of no surprise, it usually takes those couple of weeks when you come back, and just depending what you're looking for. If he's just a shooter, just a defender, just a point guard who passes, maybe you come back quicker. But when you're trying to do all three things that he is, I think he's made a normal progression and is playing the best he's played.
Tom, last year you guys struggled with free throws a lot, and then in this offseason you brought in Austin Thornton. I'm just curious, how much has he helped with not just maybe free throw shooting, but what has it been like to have him around the program?
Who?
Austin Thornton.
Oh, Austin. Well, Austin spends a lot of time at night with our guys just shooting free throws, because I think when you go through it, like me missing that one, I still shoot them. They kind of bring back, and he was there when we lost some games too, and so we have put more into it. There's no question, and yet some of it is confidence. We got into a stretch last year where we shot the ball so bad that our great shooters, they're shooting 80-some% for their careers. We're shooting 60%. Price even, he was in the low 60s for a while. So I think, like always, things get so public so quick now that I think it gets in guys' heads. But having Austin around has been great. Having TK around has been great because they're former players. TK just played over in Europe for 12, 13 years, and Austin being here has an appreciation. Then he moved out of Disney World into the real businessman world and coming back, he has a better appreciation. I think he can explain that to players. So it's been good for us. I think good for him. And I do think it's helped us with our free throw shooting, because I get a list every day, even during practice. We kind of monitor that now on a day-to-day basis. On every free throw they shoot, I get a record of it, and that's helped me a lot.
Tom, your break was noticeably better, but also taking the ball out of the basket. It was better scoring even after they scored, scoring after a foul that people may not have agreed with. There's a couple times the crowd was still booing. Was that an emphasis on ignore what's just happened and let's go?
Well, it was an emphasis on some continuity, to be honest with you. We decided that we were going to we had Matt take the ball out some, and we had Kenny, when Kenny was in there, take it out a lot, and instead of Didi or something. So I thought we had more consistency. We've been shuffling so many guys in that there was no consistency in who'd take it out on the makes. And on the misses, believe it or not, it wasn't even about the outlet. It was about as much Denzel getting, I think, 13 offense or defensive rebounds or 12 and going with it. And, in those last 3 games he was back, he was averaging 5 or 6 rebounds. So that's a big difference there too. But there was an emphasis that we thought we could run them. They were real big, and we thought that would be something we could do. That was definitely in the scouting report, and I thought, Dwayne Stevens did a good job on the report, and a really good job. I'll tell you another point of emphasis we made this week that he had a lot to do with, and that was out of timeouts, out of dead balls. We either scored or ran some good things. We scored more than we have recently, and that was an old staple that I think I did a poor job of continuing it. And a couple times he came with some great suggestions that worked. In fact, twice I turned around and high-fived him because it was his call, not mine.
Got another dumb question for you back here. You said,
did you take that personal?
No. You said after the game that it's as hard as you've played in years. Quite a strong statement. I'm wondering what that's born from. Is that just desperate times call for desperate measures, or how do you capture that and get that kind of energy and effort more often or every game?
Well, that's such a good question, Fred. That's the best question of the year, and I think that's what coaches fight every day. What does it take? And in fact, it's funny you bring it up because we had a little at our dinner last night. We didn't practice, but I talked to Denzel about that. That's where I think we missed him too, in that locker room. And remember I told you a month ago that I thought Denzel has one more step to take as an elite player, and that's can he rally guys and make guys understand from a player's perspective what they got to do to be successful. And I think that he did a good job too in the last game. Before the game, holding some guys accountable. You got some late night texts from him. You could tell where he was and mentally, and I think that all helps. It's not brain surgery. I mean, you got to play hard. That's not that hard. I mean, if there was ever a game that proved your point, when you shoot the worst percentage of shot of the year, and you lead 37 minutes of the game, that kind of tells it. The ball's on the floor. We're on the floor. We're getting missed. The couple of missed free throws we shot, we got 2 of our own missed free throw shots. We only turned the ball over 8 times. We did all the little things that sometimes the better you are, you forget about. And I told my staff something in a meeting that I really agree with too. When you rank 1, 2, 3 in the country, you start trying to stop everything. You try to, we're going to do this offensively, we're going to do this defensively. We've been a team all along that semi-cheated. We got to take away dribble penetration. We're going to give up a couple threes. If we want to take away a good post game, we might give up something there. If we want to take a good 3-point game, we might give up something in the post. And I think I think I was trying to be too perfect. And so combination of things that we'll look at, but whether anybody wants to hear it, the biggest one is getting some continuity in our 7, 8, or in our 9, 10 man playing group. And every time we get one of our top 6 guys back, we seem to lose one. And I still think that continuity has affected us as much as anything.
Back here, Tom. You talk about the improved parity nationally, and you look at some of the stats, individual stats in points, rebounds, and assists. They're pretty much all upperclassmen this year. Very few freshmen. I think Simmons is the only freshman who's ranked in there. Is this just a one-year fluke, or are we starting to see a shift because of all of the freshmen who've come in previously and have left early, that we're starting to see the revenge of the senior almost this year?
God, one of my favorite guys, one of my non-favorite guys, both got great answers. I mean, those are great. That's a great point, seriously, that there are more upperclassmen right now. A couple kids that you thought would leave last year didn't leave. That's just starting to happen again. I don't know if it's the D-League that everybody realizes these guys are ending up in that, or if guys are getting advised a little better on when they're ready and when they're not. But, that's a good point. There are, more seniors, even in the not smaller programs, but those mid-range ones. You get a 4-year guy going against a 1-year guy. That 1-year guy better be the guys that have been at Kentucky all the time, or that 4-year guy can beat him more often than not. So that could be part of the parity. Either they're not leaving earlier, or there's not enough great freshmen out there, or guys are getting a little wiser to say, if I stay one more year, it might benefit my big career in the league instead of just looking for the cup of coffee. I'm going to have to look at that. That's an interesting point, seriously.
Your next win will push you past Gene Katie for second most win among Big Ten coaches all time. What does a milestone like that mean to you?
Well, since Gene Katie's one of my favorite guys, other than Judd, it's humbling, but it's, I think we play more games now. Maybe that has something to do with it. There's a lot of reasons, but I guess it makes me feel good that I'm still standing around here, because the only way you accomplish things like that is if two things. You got to have an administration that keeps you around, and you got to have good players that play for you. And I think I got both. But Gene Katie, for me, is, he's one of my favorite people because he kept on doing what he did, not getting to a Final Four. And you say, well, if you're good enough, you got to be pretty lucky to get to one, and you got to be good. But then in those final game or two, you got to be lucky. And I thought there were some times he was very unlucky, but to maintain the program he maintained and to win the Big Ten championships he won, I guess I'd have to say it would be a hell of an accomplishment for me because of the respect I have for him.
In your favorite world, the social media world, that bear hug has gone viral. Have you seen it?
I have seen it, only because my buddy Mariucci was out he was with Michael Irvin, and they were doing something on the set. And I get this text. Michael Irvin had done the exact same thing to him because those two were going against two of the other guys in some game they were playing yesterday on the set. And so he texts me Matt's and his, and kind of looked the same. And, it was it was a funny thing. I didn't take him out for any other reason. I wanted to get Kobe in. Kobe's parents had flown in from Wyoming, and I never want to put a guy in with 4 or 5 seconds. I think that's demeaning. And I asked Kobe, I said, listen, I just want you to be part of this. I want you to be able to tell your kids, as I told them last night, the fish stories, right now everybody knows he didn't play that many minutes. But by the time the minnow turns into Moby Dick, Kobe will be telling his kids that he starred in the game and the uniforms were cool and the fans loved him. But I wanted to get him in there for those two reasons, being a senior. And when Matt came out, Matt was jacked. Matt, swear to you, I don't hide injuries. I don't tell you what they are, what they aren't. I don't say no comment. I'm pretty honest with everything, pretty transparent. I really questioned whether he was going to play. And then the day of, when he said he could go through the walkthrough and we decided not to even have him go through it, I told Gavin Schilling that you'll probably be in 3 minutes and be prepared to play a lot of the game. And I don't know how, why, or what, but because Matt's not a phony. He's not faking the injury. It just worked out. Give our trainers credit, give him credit on what they did. And we got lucky. But I still, if that went viral, as you say, I guess, I still said it with no social media. And that way I wouldn't be out there. That'd be fine with me.
Tom, a minute ago you said that you're starting to get a little bit more of the continuity with your rotation. Some of that you're still wrestling with a little bit.
Yeah.
With a couple games ago, Javon got a lot of time. This time it was Kenny. How do you analyze what's going on there and what needs to be done? And also with Schilling, is he having trouble with his hands a little bit with rebounds and things deflecting off there a little bit?
Yeah, and we talked to Gavin about that. What he started to do such a good job of in the summer and then this fall is he was slowing down. I mean, he goes at warp speed. He's going before he catches, and that's sometimes a problem. He had really slowed himself down. When you come back off an injury of 8 weeks, then all of a sudden you're trying to get everything back that you didn't get for those 8 weeks, and I think that's been part of the problem, and yet saying that, he had a great week of practice, and I think you're going to see him play more. As far as the Javon Bess, we're going to run into a couple of things on depending what a team has. We got about 3-4 teams in our league that are playing 6'5" guys at power forward. We got Purdue's that are playing 7'2" guys out there. So there's going to be a little bit of fluctuation in that according to who we're playing. As I told those guys last night, I can't apologize for it. I got to do what we got to do to win games, and at the same time, you guys got to figure out a way to stay on the floor, which sometimes they haven't. Marvin Clark has probably struggled the most coming back, and his injury was the broken foot that lasted the longest. So I still think there's times he can help us because he's a four-man that can shoot it, and so maybe it'll be all year where it'll be unsettling. At least now we're getting a little more consistency where we realize we play certain teams, certain guys might have to do more than others.